Hey, Ben.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Jim's gassing on the... yeah, he just can't stop playing the Jupiter 6.
This is the first year that I've got a kit, whatever the equivalent of NAMFRAX is.
Oh, did you?
Frax, Superfrax.
Gaz got that.
God, don't feel too bad, but then I'm absolutely freezing cold. And it's, I know it's warm. Freezing cold. Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah.
I got off lightly. Maybe mine's coming. Maybe mine's coming. Who knows? Oh, he's gone.
Not too bad. Yeah.
Let's have a look. Make sure I've got some. Okay, so we got we're gonna have Gaz. Yeah, Gaz has had whatever it was, and he was pretty sick actually. He actually, he was in bed before midnight one night. It's astonishing.
Yeah, I was. I went back to bed today at I don't know.
Oh, you're breaking up a bit. And I'm not getting. I'm not. I've got plenty of GPU and stuff here, but Ben, you've gone. Hope that's not going to be the story of our lives today. We do have Jim. Hey, Jim.
Have mic. There we go.
Yeah, I'll turn your mic on as well.
I'm here.
Yeah, nice tones there at the beginning.
I was enjoying that.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Right, so I don't know where Ben went, but I think his computer maybe crashed because he's vanished. Yeah, I don't know. And Dave's gone too. I wonder if we've got... Yeah, I hope we've got network. It'll just be me and you. That'd be well, which can be done, you know. Okay. Let's have a look. What's that? Super... right. Here we go. Ah, there we go. There's a Spears somewhere. No, there he is. Hello, Dave.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. We just lost
Good.
Ben. Ben just dropped off the planet. Not quite sure what happened then. Which is he's got Namthrax, he said, or what would the equivalent Berlin Thrax, Synthrax? I don't know. I don't know what you call it. Something or other.
Superthrax.
Superthrax. Okay.
Superflu.
Superflu. Let's see. So we got some people there. Switch the synths off for now. Yeah, that Jupiter 6 sounds lovely. Just been
That was very nice.
Yeah, been have a bit more of that. Okay, so with today, assuming everybody can make it, and we haven't got some weird network issue, we've definitely got 3 people, because we've got Dave and we got Jim, who's just left his station for a moment to compose himself. And yeah, Boothrax, that sounds like a good one, says Rob Jeffries in the chat room. I like the sound of that. Boothrax, that's another possibility. So we're currently looking for Namthrax type. There was another one I heard. What was the one I heard? There was another Namthrax, and there was something else that I heard. Somebody coined another phrase this year, but I can't remember what it was. But I remember it being pretty good. Just not very memorable, obviously.
I'm just glad I didn't get any of it.
Yeah, quite. No, none of us. Well, there's still time. Incubation period. I've been feeling rough since the whole time, but I haven't actually had anything. So we have a Gaz Waldo. Here we go. How are you, Gaz?
Hey.
Your bandwidth is very poor.
Is it?
I know. Hold on. It's get a bit blocky and whatnot, but I wonder if I should do a speed test.
Okay, I've got good signal here.
That's good here.
Okay, let me just check. Run speed test. It's not going to work, obviously, because I'm using... Yeah, upload is... That's pretty decent. I've got 60 up. And... no, 60 down, rather, so I won't have much up, because I'm sending a lot at the moment. No, 20 up. We should be getting plenty of that. So it's not me. Dave's looking good. Ah, that's better. Something happened. You try reconnect if you like. Yeah.
Should I try reconnecting?
Why not? And Ben has just fallen off the world.
I tell you what, Nick. It took me 3 or 4 times to. It kept saying it wasn't letting me join.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I don't know. Nothing's different from normal.
No, well, maybe it's a out of our hands issue, which is one of those ones that means. Okay.
Quite possibly.
vmix call down. I just looked for that. Well, that's I don't know how you do that. vmix calls. See if there's a way to. So we've got Jim. Jim's here.
I'm here.
Gaz is here.
This the man.
Jim's been playing. Jim's you're sounding very radio. Actually, your voice suits that mic.
I'll just need to take this one home with me.
Well, maybe.
Off. He's offsetting all the slimy limeys.
Britain. Yeah, Ben's not able to. That's weird. I'm just looking to see if there are any issues. vmix call status. There's no, because it's a kind of closed system. It's not like you get a load of people, so maybe they're just having a moment. I hope not. That would be annoying because it's usually really good.
Mm. I've never had that.
I've got you, Gaz. So just stick around just in case. And Dave got in all right. Dave's looking mighty fine there. Certainly pictorially.
Yeah. Let's not go too
sartorially. I'm not so sure. Mind you, I want to say I've got the T-shirt from Mr. CR78, aka Alex, who bumped into me at Super Booth, and was really what a lovely chap. Gave me a bunch of T-shirts, and this. I can't believe it. And he said, I've been bringing it here for a couple of years, but I never bumped into you. I want you to have it. I can't believe that. It's just so kind.
Amazing.
I haven't had a chance to play with it much yet, but looking forward to that.
I was talking to Kim Bjorn earlier today, and he's got the same thing that he's completely floored by the flu. And I described my symptoms, and his symptoms are exactly the same. So I was wondering how many other poor souls
Ben said he's got it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
God, so it's just like, oh my God. I mean, I'm about 50% back, but I mean, like the last 2 days I've been bedbound. I just...
I quite like.
But even climbing up the stairs into my attic, it's kind of wiped me out.
Yeah, I can understand.
Like tired.
Yeah, it's flu. It's
it is
flu
proper.
as well. Yeah, it's flu. Yeah, it's not nice.
Okay, got that. Okay,
some weird exotic flu that someone brought in from.
Well, the other thing that some people had, and my daughter got this. She got some form of Legionnaires from an air conditioning unit in a hotel somewhere where she did a performance. I mean, it wasn't full blown. If you get full blown Legionnaires, you're in serious trouble. But the initial stages is not uncommon, and you get that, and it's very flu-like. You get aches and pains and headaches and all sorts of horrible feelings. And I've got a bit of that, but I mean, I don't feel. I just feel run down and knackered, which I'd expect after something like this.
I'd like to open my window, Nick, but there's a cricket match going on outside, so I don't know if too many kind of weird...
That'll be...
Well, I know, I mean, just stereotypical...
The Barmy
English
Army
summers.
will be, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. We have a Ben. There we go.
Hey!
Yes.
He's back.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good.
Went for a
Okay.
restart.
Let's go for it and see if we can make a show. So, is everybody... I'm just going to get the Facebook thing ready. I'm a bit out of practice and I'm kind of a bit worn out.
You don't think it's worth me giving one more go to log in for better...
No, because I think if you do that and we lose you, then it's 4 minutes past 4. So,
okay.
Standing by, everybody. Here we go. No, that's the wrong one, isn't it? Hey! I told you I had it wrong. Right, let's try that again. Here we go. Hello, everybody. everybody. Welcome to Sonic Talk. This is episode 576, recorded today on Wednesday. It's the 15th of May. That's right, folks. And we're all back from Superbooth. And in fact, in a very rare occurrence, we've all been to Superbooth as well. So we've got a bumper panel this week, just because I have with me Jim from Ear Monkey Music, who you might have seen for the sound from some of the sounds demos. Your first trip to a Superbooth, right?
My first trip to Europe altogether, yeah.
So yeah, a lot of firsts there.
Yeah, it's been great. Berlin was great. My first time in the UK.
So yeah, a lot of stuff. Awesome. And Jim was doing some of the sound demos. You might have seen there was the Matriarch. The what did you do? The Matriarch,
Super 6, the Summit. The words start going out of your head after you've done all these things.
Oh yeah, the Peak Summit, and also the Nonlinear Lab C15, which is quite interesting.
C15, the new little SH101 based superlative SB1.
And the Moog one as well. And I think you did, yeah. Which I think are now all online. So yes, well let's say hello to everybody else as well. We've also got Mr. Dave Spears, who was also at Superbooth as well. In fact, Dave, I was thinking. Well, I saw you there, and it was great. I was it Thursday or Friday night? I forget now because it all blurs a bit. But we figured out that we hadn't seen you at a trade show for almost double digits, right?
Probably, yeah. And it was a weird one for us because obviously we stopped. So we still sell into Sweetwater and JRR shop in America, but we kind of stopped the whole. We just kind of do direct now. So. Having done 20 plus years of NAM in Frankfurt, I was sort of fatigued. And also the expense, Messer in particular had got mad money for hotels and stuff. And I'm not a huge fan of flying. So, yeah, I just kind of haven't gone. I obviously did Synthfest and did your thing in November. And then I was offered the opportunity to go on an all expenses paid trip. In fact, both Chris and I were. Courtesy of some work we've done on a particular synthesizer. So, yeah, I was kind of like, yeah, let's do this. And what was amazing was just seeing so many old friends and good people again. It was just like, it was a complete joy. People we probably hadn't seen for, 10 years who we've known for like 25 odd. It was brilliant. Yeah, really good show.
Excellent. Well, we'll come back to that in a little bit when we've done the rounds. We've also got... Mr. Div Kid Ben, who I think you got Namthraxed, or what are we were going to call it, Booththrax, or we're trying to think of a name for
Superthrax.
Superthrax. That sounds good. I like the sound of that. That's a good one. So you, Gaz as well got it a little bit, but you like me and your team were running around like nutters, and it's intense. There's just not enough time. It's got bit too big to be able to do even in 3 days. It needs for us to do it justice. You probably felt the same. Do you think an extra day, or is it good enough?
I'm not sure how manufacturers would feel with an extra day, but for us, yeah, I mean, we did around 50 videos. I'm sure, you probably nearly doubled that with your team and the way you work the event. But even then, there's around 250 booths. So it's impossible to get around it all. I'd like another day. I'd like a press day. Because getting around everyone, trying to get everything on the Saturday afternoon, the Friday afternoon, it's just hectic. And just all those added minutes of just going up to people, and I always feel really rude, almost tapping them on the shoulder, going, can we do that video we spoke about? And they're having to cut off conversations where we kind of work our way in with a camera and audio cables. I'd like another day. A press day would be very good. I'm not sure if it was on the end, how well it would go down. There's a lot of sore heads by kind of Saturday morning. Yeah. So maybe setup day and press day, something like that.
Yeah, I'll press afternoon even. Yeah, I think you're right there. Because I spoke to Andreas Schneider, the guy behind it, and he was saying he didn't want to do Sunday because he wanted to give people a day off before going back to work. So if it went anywhere, it would have to go at the beginning. But yeah, it was taken on board. But I mean, these things just it's a new show. I mean, it's hard to imagine. It's only 4th year, and how big it's become. It's incredible, really, isn't it? Really astonishing. Yeah. And also Mr. Gaz Williams, who was on our team. You've probably seen him on multiple videos so far. I think we're up to about 72 now. There's going to be, and there are more coming. Ed's got another 6.
Oh, yeah.
I've got more to go. I think Andy's are up there. I've got a few more. So, yeah, you got Felled, didn't you?
Oh, big time. I've been, I'm about 50% at the moment, if probably or less. But last two days have been totally bedbound. And talking to Kim Bjorn earlier, who the great author of the Push Turn Move and Patch and Tweak, and great, lovely man, but he's got exactly the same symptoms. So I'm curious to see how many of us. I was thinking about super flu.
Super flu. Yeah, that sounds good. Super thrax. I think Ben got super thrax. Yeah.
It's evil. It is evil. I haven't been so wiped out for ages. But it's all worth it though, because what an amazing event. And as you say, it was just, oh gosh, the amount of things we just didn't cover. And thinking about it, I didn't even get to see that, didn't get to see that, and didn't get to see that. And yeah, gosh, and we were flat out, weren't we, the whole time?
Yeah, totally.
So, and there's a massive amount of stuff we're going to talk about on the show, isn't it? Because there's
we're going to struggle in similarly, I would imagine. I just want to say a shout out. I think Battery Operated Orchestra are in the chat room, who were also at Super Booth. And jolly fun. I'm sure between us, we've all got jolly fun stories of hanging out with them and having a lot of fun. Bridget and Chris, we had a great time. We went out for a meal on the last night, and we finally made it to one of the clubs. I went to Seabase, and I really enjoyed it actually, because I got there and it was quite mellow, and it wasn't what I expected at all. Like literally, sort of down the river behind a shed, and then through a gap in the fence almost in it. But it was an amazing place. So yeah, I enjoyed all of that.
It is.
I think next year we're going to get a hotel closer to Mitta, so we can actually be a bit in all of that. Because like Jim, you got a hotel close by, so you were there pretty much every night, right?
Oh yeah, I was there, and if you go out with Gaz, just be prepared to stay a while.
Yeah, exactly. But you didn't.
And Chris and Bridget, they just kept, but
they keep going.
It's just such a great group of people, though. You didn't want to go. You wanted to keep staying.
Oh wait, we've got one here. Hold on a sec. I'm just going to run this one. This the Bubonic Plague. What do you think of that?
Bubonic Plague.
Bubonic Plague. That's pretty good. It's a bit. That's perhaps a little. Yeah, that's quite. Yeah. Okay. Well, where do we start? I mean, I suppose the thing is, where do we start? I guess in some ways it might be worth starting with the people who haven't been before, because we've been before, and it's about the gear. So, Dave, I mean, you hadn't been before, but you hadn't been to a trade show before. I don't know what you were expecting. I mean, because you must have had a lot of feedback and a lot of people saying, "Oh, you like it? It's great." It's not like other trade shows. I mean, it's not really a trade show, is it? Would you call it a trade show?
No. I think what I mean, like I say, I used it more of a kind of people thing. Obviously, we were there with Novation, so Summit was the kind of focus for us. But other than that, I kind of used it more to catch up with people, and people that we've worked with for, hundreds of years. Because we all work remotely, it's only occasions like this that we get to meet. But no, I think for me, in fact, I was talking to somebody about it earlier, it's on the border now of becoming a big show. But what I loved about it was... I was talking to Michelle Moog about it. She joined us for breakfast on our last day, and there's so many booths that are kind of back to that, men in sheds, blokes, people on kitchen tables kind of doing stuff and then presenting it. I mean, Summit isn't entirely finished, complete. And when I saw the Super 6 video that you guys did, again, he didn't have any effects on it. So, but it's just this kind of, I don't know, it felt like a happening more than a
I would agree.
Show.
So, I mean, aside from the actual Super 6 part of it, did you get a chance to actually see anything? Was there a highlight of the show? I mean, Summit could be a highlight of the show as well. That's fine. I'm trying, because I've got a whole load of videos lined up that I sort of feel like we should perhaps kind of show a little bit about what was going on. So, for you, Dave, was there something that really stood out or surprised you gear-wise that you got a chance to see for the first time?
There were a few things that kind of made me look at and go, wow, that was insane. I can't remember the name of it, but that tone wheel 4-voice.
Oh, the motor synth. Yeah.
The motor synth, I just thought, wow, that's insane. But it sounded amazing. And then obviously we talked about that drum machine a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? Which I went straight, went straight over and tried. So that, and obviously Summit. I mean, for me, Summit was just an amazing experience, because it was nice to be it was nice. I know a lot of the work that's gone into it, so it was nice to be there for when it was announced and the buzz that was going round. And everyone, you know, who's worked on it was, I mean, they're
there we go. There's the drum machine.
Mine.
There's the drum machine. That was, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. I think they're going to sell tons of those just from that, from the podcast a couple of weeks ago, from people being there. I mean, pretty much everybody I know went, I've got to get one of those.
Yeah. Absolutely. And the summit, of course, is beautiful. I think Jim did I've got it here somewhere. I think we've got a sounds only video that Jim did, because because we don't get time to do all of this stuff. So I imagine some of these patches must have been yours. Jim, were these all patches that you made, or were you just flipping presets?
I was just going through presets.
Very moody shot there. I like that.
I was mostly working with it in split mode.
Yeah, nice. And that seemed to be a big success. Obviously, Novation were a sponsor of the show, so that was great for them to actually have a decent product out there as well. I mean, I say decent. I mean, most of their stuff's good anyway, so it's good that. But it seems to be very polysynth heavy as well. There was a lot of that going on. And I suppose for you, Jim, you know, highlights for the show for you, because I mean, this is a very you've been to NAMM, which is a very different experience, but this is very tightly focused.
It is. It's very concentrated. That's the one thing I liked about it. I mean, you go to some of the you go to NAMM, and there's people selling tubas next to the synthesizers, and there's none of this. This is all synthesizers, and you know, I focus more on the keyboard instruments, and this was really great because there were so many, you know, polysynths, and that's kind of where I tend to gravitate. And even just talking about the Summit, I have a Peak, so I'm familiar with the Peak, but the Summit introduces so much new stuff, just being able to do layers and splits and 16 voices, and you just feel it just kind of really is inviting to get you in and makes you want to play it. That's what I look for in a synthesizer, is do I feel like playing it? Do I want to keep playing it? And there were several things there that really just kind of pulled me in, and I just didn't want to stop. That's why the sounds only videos are like, you know, 17 minutes long, and I even edited half of them out.
Yeah, that's cool. Actually, we got the because this is the Super 6, which was also another big introduction. And like you said, Dave, there's very little, you know, it wasn't actually working fully properly, but it had a real. I mean, there's loads of stuff in here, but again, none of the effects work on it. I haven't watched the whole. Ooh. This had quite a Juno filter to it as well, I think, which was kind of cool. But, I mean, it's really nice to see, because I know, Gaz, you've been working on that, you know, or not working on it, but exposed to it and sort of talking to them a while.
I've been consulting on it for last year.
And it was so nice because we, you know, I spoke to George afterwards, and I said, you know, I think that'll do well. And then he was like, I can't read the comments, because, you know, they can be very harsh, particularly when something's not finished. And, you know, it's not going to be a cheap instrument, so... No. But overall, lots of very positive sounds, positive thoughts about it, which is nice. You know, didn't get thrashed.
Yeah. No, I mean, they were. You know, it was touch and go whether it was going to be, you know, finished enough to show it really. So they worked so hard in the last week or so to get it to, you know, to get it there. Yeah, and I was absolutely delighted to see how well it's been received. George Hearn is a very smart cookie, actually, and he's, you know, one of the things that's really impressed me with George over the development of this synth is he's been just working on the very tiniest detail. He's been most of the time. Well, in fact, this was the first time I'd actually seen it acting. You know, it actually polyphonic as well. He's been really just trying to get the fundamentals, the very fundamental tone to sound right. And working really, really hard on that. So the basic building blocks, just getting it just right. And another thing that George has been really really dedicated about with this synth is to make sure that every switch is as beautiful quality as possible, that everything feels like it's, you know, like a proper instrument. It's built to last. And I think the comments and some people I was talking to there who tried it out were saying this. So I think that the message is kind of getting through. And I thought, you know, really well done to them, really, for focusing on probably the most important aspects of a keyboard that's essentially designed for live, you know, for live use. and it's gone down really well. And of course, this synth has had the magic touch of Axel Hartmann, hasn't it?
Yeah,
as well,
that's right. A bit of industrial design there. You can tell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you can tell. Does he have a look? I suppose, no. That's the point. Well, you don't, do you? You kind of have what you want. I'll come back to you again in a sec, Jazz, because I know you're both feeling ill, so I've got to keep talking to you in case you start nodding off, both of you. So I'm going to... I feel like I'm... So, Ben, for you, I mean, I know you cover a lot more of the modular stuff, which is something that I'm not focusing. Ed did it for us, and I mean, one thing that he found is like... At the end of it, he's almost slightly mad. It's like, if I have to see another oscillator, I think I'm going to kill myself. You know, there is an aspect to that because there's so much of it, and the density of it, and the kind of the differences between some of the things is quite subtle. You have to be deep into it. How was it for you? I mean, did you find you had enough, or do you manage to maintain that healthy enthusiasm, or does it wear you out like the rest of us? And if so, what did you find the most exciting? There you go. There's a bunch of things. I thought you
were going to say what was the one thing that wore you down the most?
Well, you can answer that if you like. That's a great question. Wish I'd thought of it.
Me.
No. It's really kind of motivating as a show, and it's the people. And I've seen Dave's post on Facebook about the people. It does have a little bit of a trade show vibe. The first one at the Funk House was definitely, like being at Woodstock kind of thing, but it's still got that right vibe about it. There's no escaping the amount of modular makers, and I think that maybe puts them all on, not a hard sell, that's unfair to say, but they're a little bit more aware of they've got units to shift, whereas previous years I feel like they didn't care, they just wanted to talk to people. But that's in no way a bad thing or a kind of overall judgment. Just going back to just before the event, we saw the Summit the day before, playing some of Dave's presets, and unlike Jim, I just lived in kind of just single Tombra mode. I didn't go into any kind of split stuff at all. It sounds fantastic. I was really impressed with that piece of kit. Even just breaking out FM controls, it encouraged you at least to turn them up, even if you turn them back down, and you'd find a nice little kind of corner of the synth you've maybe not found in a mod matrix before.
I
was really wound up. Before the cold takes its hold, the NARM fracs, booth fracs. I think it's the Curtis chips being available, both officially and kind of unofficially in a couple of places. Yeah. They were used in everything, it seemed. So, but it was nice to see, because I believe my electrical and component knowledge is minimal, but I believe most of the work's done in the chip. All the volt per octave tracking's done, all the FM scaling's done, all the waveforms are broken out. You're not having to build wave shapers to get triangles from squares and so on. And there was a lot of that this year. Way too much to cover.
Oh, we're getting some bandwidth issues.
Sequences.
Oh, there he is. Sorry, Ben, you're kind of you breaking up. You've paused and we've got you back now. Yeah, that's a really interesting point though about the filters being available. In fact, I think it was a guy called Dan. He gave me my card. He gave me his card. Dan Peer. What was his name? I forget now. But I had a look. I checked out, and he was, they're making. Yeah, you're right. Making those things available means that people can focus on some of the other aspects, like the GUI and whatnot. But there was so much modular. I mean, as it is, it's Schneider's Loud, and why wouldn't it be an Alex 4? That's what the whole thing came about. That's what Super Movie's for. But it did feel like also there was a lot more polyphonic action going on this year. I wonder if that's down to the... I don't know if anyone saw, this was announced on the last day at 3 o'clock. Did you see this? I'll just play a little bit quickly.
MFB booth and something brand new on the last day of the show, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was in the last minute. But it's a prototype, so it's not finished. But we expected in this year they finished this 8-voice polyphonic synthesizer. It includes 3 VCOs, 2 filters, 3 envelopes, and 2 LFOs, plus a display, and you can store all them.
Yeah, that was pretty. That was a bit of a surprise there, and it was really funny because you got the guys from Novation who went, "What?" And the guys from Modal were going, "Oh, wait a minute," and the guys from Uno were going, "Hold on a minute, there's another and it's analog. What?" So it was a real curveball for them. But I mean, it's still early days. They're not going to be ready till next year. But 3 VCO analog synth, polysynth. That's kind of that. Did you see that one, Ben? I mean, it wasn't voiced or anything.
No.
But...
No, I missed it, but this idea of kind of either doing more, well, there's a few ways to go about it, from what I can tell. You either just use the Curtis chip and make a simple oscillator, and it's maybe smaller and cheaper because there's little R&D to do. Or you add features, or you just stack a load of them in. Now, I didn't see it at the event. I don't think the company were there, but it was in someone else's stand. You know, if you want to see this, it's at our friends at booth, whatever. But there's a new oscillator called the Demon Core, which isn't that big, but it's 16 DCOs, kind of Juno-style, digitally controlled analog oscillators, where all 16 are addressable via MIDI in about 14 HP, I think, so it's not very big, or it's 4 voices, or 4 groups of 4 voices by CV. So there's a ton of kind of power coming in to your rack, I think. Just a simple way of going, here's 16... I don't know, saw waves or squares or big unison stacks or chords. And MIDI as well on mini jacks is nice to see. It's a nice simple way of keeping
there is. Yeah, I tell you what I did see, and I don't think I've done the video for it yet. There was a guy in the room that we were in last year that got opened up and turned into a booth. And he'd made, you know, there's also these kind of, I don't know what, that sort of size DSP core units for polysynth action, so there's quite a lot of polysynths coming into Eurorack. But what he'd done is he created an internal bus, so you got the DSP thing, and then all the modules for controlling the individual aspects of that synth were just controllers. So the idea is you have this sort of massive, powerful polysynth with all of the individual modules, and you control them via the controllers. And the idea that there's an internal busing system, that kind of it opens. I mean, I don't think it's going to work as a whole thing in itself because it's quite expensive. But that concept of maybe bringing in polyphony, portability, and you'd be able to use Eurorack cases, but also you breaking out the control aspect so that you can then control maybe other things, and also getting recall. I don't know. I think I got the impression because when you look at some of those guys' sets, I talked to Richard Devine, and I was trying to look at his modular to see what was going on, and it was literally just, you know, a pile of cables on top of a flat box, and you just with tiny little sort of windows of fader. So it's like, yeah, I can turn that, and you just think that is so. I mean, you know, I know it's the core of it, but it's so ludicrously impractical. I mean, it really, and it sort of, we're getting to that stage now where some of the guys, you know, when you talk to the old 70s keyboard players, and we're all going, oh yeah, you still using the Moog, and he goes, no, I'm all in the box, mate. You know, it's too much hassle with that stuff. And I'm wondering now whether some of these modular performers, because they have to take these rigs with them. And, you know, how much of that they can, you know, and Devine is now starting to use a lot more digital and samplers and things just for things to be repeatable and to be able to play more than one tune, you know, so that there's actually things that can change up. So how much modular do you need to have to be a modular performer in the next sort of 12 months? There might actually be, you know, people coming up with much smaller units, but it's an interesting development.
That polyend preset... It's really interesting. Did you see that? The polyend preset?
I didn't.
Just with that in mind, though, just because it's as a module, it's got you can just store loads of different settings. So you know, recallable. It's like a junction box. Oh, it does tons of stuff. But I mean, I thought that was an interesting development based on what you were saying. I think I can imagine a lot of performers think that's going to be able to solve many a problem, really. I'm
just seeing if I've got the video.
Sorry, I cut into Ben then.
That's all right. I'm just seeing if I've got the video. Is that...
We did one with it was the Polyend new products, because they had three new modules, all three of which were all really interesting. The first one was was a follow-up to the previous one that they had, the Poly 2 module, and then
yeah, I got that there.
That's the Poly 2, yeah. And then the next one is the preset one, which is probably middle of the video.
Oh yeah, there we go.
There it is. Yeah.
And so that's like a load of preset CVs, I guess, by the looks of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So okay, so it's a bit like the is it Make Noise do like the pads and things where you can, but more digital stuff. Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, just to cut back in for Gaz. Sorry, Gaz. There's a few ways of doing that. Just to shout out a few kind of modules. ADAC have a VC transitions, which is 5 voltages that you scale and offset and kind of manage them. But it's all then controlled on a crossfader. So to me, that's a little bit like the crossfader on an Octatrack. At one side, the state of the machine is this, and at the other, everything morphs across because all these voltages are changing. There's the pressure points as well, and the new, is it Macau, the Future Sound Systems and Daniel Miller's Mute collaboration?
Oh, yeah.
That's the same thing. I think that's
it's switches,
voltages,
isn't it?
I think.
Yeah, yeah.
There's the mutes on switch stum, but then the Macau is voltages, where one knob turn again will kind of morph out.
Macros, that's right. Yeah, well, I've got that, yeah. But I don't think I've edited it yet.
But the preset looked great because there was lots of slots on it to send these 9 voltages out. So, you know, lengths of envelopes, filters, effects, kind of everything could change. You could sequence through it. It seemed to do a really good job.
Yeah, that could be. I think it's kind of interesting. I don't know, Dave. Did you find you've not jumped in the modular world? Did you find this kind of pushed you further away from the thought of it, or made you think that looks interesting?
I'm completely conflicted. I mean, obviously we've got the large format stuff, but yeah, there were occasions where I'd walk past a booth and think, well, that sounds interesting, but there were a lot of occasions where I walked past a booth and thought, that sounds broken. And I don't know whether it really was broken or not, but yeah, I don't know. It's very, but again, I think that's what I liked about the show, is that there's a level of expertise that is across the board with attendees. So you can have a conversation with somebody and you know that you're not nerding them out. And actually, I was kind of more interested to discover some of the more esoteric modular stuff, purely because, you know, there are no shops I can go into here and go, can you tell me about that? And can you tell me about that? It's obviously all internet video based, so it was nice.
Lucky we're here, then, isn't it?
Flesh. Yeah, of course. Well, it made me realise how valuable a service it is, actually.
Yeah, well, you just don't get time for everything. I mean, it's almost impossible. I don't know. What about you, Jim? Did you? I mean, because I know you're hardware based generally. I mean, you use both, but I mean, you're more kind of traditional units rather than modular. Did you see anything you thought that made you think maybe I should get a little case and put one of those in?
I always think that, and then I come to my senses and I don't. But there's a little company. Eric Schloppy runs a company called Schloppy Engineering, and I've met him in a couple shows, and he makes some really it's almost like, how much noise can I possibly generate here, and then how can I totally screw up the noise that I've generated, and those things, I don't know how practical they are, but they're an awful lot of fun. And he had a new module called the 100 Grit. And it was interesting to me because it had some performance aspects to it. He's got some little like brass conductors and things you can touch to really tweak the sound, and so I look at that kind of stuff and I think, you know, this would be kind of fun to have. I'm
sorry, I'm finding the video so we can have a look at it.
There's a part where he runs some drums through it, and if you go to the silver-faced panel, and because I think he's got there's
there we go.
Yeah, that down there.
So,
with some of the feedback pads.
So it's quite distorted and glitchy, right?
Yeah, but those little brass knobs at the top, they're conductors, and you can play it with your fingers and tweak the sound and that kind of. So you have some performance aspects to it. And I listen to that kind of thing, and I think if I had something small, you know, a few of those types of things, maybe to complement my, you know, what I already have, that's interesting. It is extremely overwhelming if you're not really. I mean, I understand what's going on with the modular stuff, but if you walk down hall after hall after hall, and there's just so much of it, which is good to see, but it's also overwhelming because where do you focus your attention?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I know, Gaz, you did a bunch of stuff. You know, you covered a broad range of things, and the modular stuff is when you're not, if you're not right in it, sometimes it's hard to know what insightful question to ask that makes it different, right? Hold on, sorry, I just muted you. Yeah. There we go. There you go. Carry on. Sorry, my mistake.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, it's it's difficult to kind of know what is the latest thing, because just getting up to speed with it all is it's really God, it is. There's so much there. But I mean, you know, I think though there was so much stuff that isn't modular at Superbooth, though. That you know, like software. There's some great software there. And one of the things that blew me away was Bitwig 3 and the modular, the grid, which is the new big thing that's part of Bitwig 3. And the reason why I mention this, though, is because this has got the best graphic interface I've seen, I think, because there's lots of software modular setups now, but the one in Bitwig has got this incredible help. When you press like F1, whatever module you've got selected, it'll kind of zoom that module large, and there'll be lots of arrows and descriptions telling you what every function does. But the amazing thing is, the controls all still... Yeah. The controls all still work. Oh yeah, this is it. There we go. So like it's like the manual, but it's all still running, so you can kind of adjust the parameters in the context of the help. So for someone like myself, who's still quite intimidated by modular, this is brilliant. And you can always see exactly what the signal's doing with animations.
It looks like you saw it demoed on that big touchscreen as well, which is quite good for thought, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it just makes me think Apple are being really silly, kind of dragging their heels on that. But So I thought I'd mention that though, just because it connects to modular, but also to software, and because you looked at that other one, didn't you, Nick? I didn't get to look at it. The software modular setup.
Cherry Audio.
That's right.
The Cherry Audio, the Cherry Audio guy, which was, I can't remember what it's called now, but it's an interesting environment because it has. I don't think I've got the video up yet. I think it has. It's like what's it called?
VCV rack.
VCV rack and Softube modular, but it's like an alternative environment. It has a built-in store, and it comes with, it's like $99, and it comes with 100 modules. It's all got VST hosts in it as well, so it's sort of similar to I can't even remember what it's called now. That's how much. Even though Jim's just told me
VCV rack.
VCV rack, yeah, it's quite similar to that, So, but it's more of a commercial product. But also, it comes with an environment that you can build your own. So that's quite meta and quite interesting as well. But yeah, you're right. There was a lot of software there. Though not as much, I think. Like for instance, what were they called? The guy who's my mind's gone completely. Ben, he does modular stuff. He used to do modular hardware, but that focuses on software. US guy, Chris Randall. What are they called?
Audio damage.
Audio damage. Yeah, for instance, like they didn't go this year because they're focusing more on software, so it didn't make sense for them. But I mean, there's still a place for it there for sure.
Well, Ableton Live, the CV.
The CV tools was really good, actually. I have to say, I think I've got that somewhere. I did actually pick up the video. Yeah, this was Dylan from from Ableton, and the fact that it, we've seen a lot of this stuff before, but because it's sort of integrated into Ableton as devices, even though these are Mac devices, it looks like kind of pure Ableton stuff. But what's great about it is you just set up your scaling, so you can get like most modules struggle to get above 4-5 octaves, and most sort of not very well engineered analog synths will struggle to get above 4 or 5, and you can get up to 9 with this because it just compensates. You go, okay, let's calibrate, and it goes, yep, you just need a DC coupled interface. It spits out the voltage, brings in the pitch, it goes, yeah, you're out of tune, okay, so I'm going to adjust. So you get your custom scale, and that means anything you've got can become a much broader and much more powerful synth. Even for that alone, and that's going to be free with Ableton 10.1, so that's pretty cool. I know, Ben, you use Ableton, don't you? I mean, have you checked that out? That looks kind of interesting, that one, right?
Yeah, I was chatting to Milo before the event about that one. Some of those features have been done elsewhere, not to diminish it being in Ableton.
No, that's true, yeah.
But the fact it's in live and looks like live devices, I think for me and my headspace makes a massive difference. From just kind of going over to the window, drop a chorus on a pad sound or something. Oh, I want another LFO to send out to this filter or whatever it is. It makes a huge difference not dipping in and out of other pieces. And to see it all integrated, think it's kind of a long time coming, really. I know a few people are working on DC coupled interfaces, because usually anything AC will filter out all your sub audio ins and outs. So I think it's one of those where we're all going to need a big interface, because you're going to want to send 4 or 5 things out for a modest setup, maybe pitch, gate, velocity, LFOs, or whatever it might be. But if you've only got a 4-channel, 6-channel sound card, that's gone. So we're going to potentially need bigger sound cards. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in that space.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, sorry, carry on. I'll jump in a sec.
Yeah, I was going to say, with live, the per-track delays for scaling everything as well, you should really easily be able to get set up where CV's going out of the card, audio's coming back in, internal audio and external audio is all just kind of track delayed into place, and it nudges and locks. It should, I've not tried it on a big setup, but it should be really easy to get a big system talking to each other now.
Yeah, I think that's kind of... I mean, I don't know, like Dave, I don't know whether you get the opportunity to... I mean, integrate your stuff. I mean, do you tend to either midify it or just play it in live and not worry about CV?
All of the above, really. Depends. It's interesting, this whole chat, because actually with the... So you can lose hours in whatever you're doing. But when I was looking at a lot of the module guys, you know, they were kind of poring over the most minuscule sound difference while they were tweaking away, and they'd lose hours that way. One of the things that I like with an instrument is that you lose hours when you play it, that you get that kind of feedback from it. And that was, for me, when they came, you know, when Novation came and said, "Oh, would you do some sounds for Peak?" Peak's fantastic, but it's a box that makes a sound. Whereas when they asked me to do stuff with Summit, it was like, this needs to be much more detailed, because you have to get that kind of the right feedback from the keyboard and whatnot when you're playing it. So yeah, a slightly oblique turn, but yeah, I like the way that the sound designers guys are going on the Euro rack stuff and the modular stuff, really infinitesimal kind of degrees, and they'll lose hours in that. Whereas a musician, for me, what I find really fascinating is when somebody walks up to an instrument and sits and plays it. But yes, all of the above to your answer, really. Anything, whatever suits. And half the time I'm working with other people, you see, so it depends what they want to do.
Well, I did a piece with RME. I'm starting to realise that we've actually still got a load of videos to go up. I did a piece with RME, because RME have now got like a MADI expander for their UF, whatever it is, the UF X Plus. So it's a MADI interface, a 32i interface that's... or 32 out, that's DC coupled. But he was saying, because I was saying, oh, DC coupled inputs, he's saying, no, the problem is because their MADI stuff is like 24-bit 192K, and when you're running really high quality audio interfaces, to get DC coupled on the input is really difficult, apparently, because you've got to protect the mic amps. You don't want that stuff going into those beautiful high quality A to Ds. So maybe what somebody needs to do is build a kind of dual purpose audio interface. So you got 4 in 4 out plus, you know, 8 or 10 extra outs, which are the lower grade ones that you just use for CV plug in and out. And it's like expert sleeper stuff. So, you know, those things are really, and they're quite affordable. So you can imagine that part of a broad, you know, like an Apollo, because Apollo's DC coupled, but you wouldn't really want to use up those beautiful what are they called? The mic amps that do that kind of special stuff. You wouldn't want to put control voltages into that. It'd be a waste of time, and also a bit scary in case you blew it up. So you can imagine an audio interface which has multiple, you know, two distinct purposes. That would make sense, because it beats having to aggregate it. That's for sure, doesn't it? I mean, you know, aggregation just doesn't really work so good, I think. I know, and you've probably tried that, and it's a real faff, isn't it? Aggregating audio interfaces, you get the numbering goes, and all. It's just not. It's not really all that good. So maybe that's what we need.
Yeah.
Oh,
good idea.
I just realised I haven't done any adverts at all, which is probably really that's another miss. I'm going to do one now. I do beg your pardon, advertisers. So we'll do this one first. Yep, this is the soft tube parallels, which I have done a video on. It's really interesting. It sounded great, actually, and it's dual source synth. It's made from waveforms from a lot of classic synths, and it looks lovely in the flesh, but it sounds really good. It's got some great effects, and the detail in the oscillators and the details in the filter modelling are taking a lot of the nous from their soft tube modular stuff. There's 100 high-quality pre-recorded multi-waveforms. Lots of sonic progression within each one, means near infinite source material, 14 voices, 7 per source. Hundreds of expertly created presets from big sound designers, BT, Richard Devine, Inhalt, and more. 3 very detailed analog module filter types, state variable, Vactrol, apogee, and resonant peaks, and 5 sophisticated types of modulation: source, LFO, random, Euclidean sequencer, step sequencer, envelope, 5 quality effect. I mean, there's a ton of stuff in there. Well worth checking out. If you go over to Softube and have a look at that, that's something I can thoroughly recommend, and I thank them for their support of the show. Yeah, that's embarrassing. That's the thing. There's so much to talk about here. I mean, there really is a ton of stuff. Ben, so did I ask you what your product of the show was? I mean, you could have more than one, but was there something that really stood out for you?
Yeah, just really briefly before that, sorry to sidetrack, just going back to speaking about making things simpler in modular, I think this one really went under everyone's radar. I know the guys at Instruo didn't push this particular one. They had 2 really big modules that I'd like to mention, but their new VCAs, little 4 HP, tiny VCA, 2 channels. The top one will ring mod. You can invert the signals. So you can ring mod on the top one and just normal amplitude VCA control on the bottom. But around the back they have little expanders to plug them into each other, so you can sum all the VCAs together. And just this idea of having volume control, CVable VCA control, maybe 1 in each row or 2 in a row, and have them all chain across, building a CV control mixer without the cabling, I think is really attractive. And I certainly didn't cover it. Jason at Instro told me there were other things they wanted to present, but I think that's a really big thing. And the Reon digital patching as well. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to check it out.
I've got that. Actually, I did a video of that, and that's an interesting. That they're using an internal busing again, so that it's a separate bus. So it's a flyer cable that runs between their modules, and all it does is the actual. You basically have 8 groups, and everything with the same number is patched to itself. I mean, it's really, really simple. You don't get any attenuation or any of that stuff. But that's the sort of thing that they could build into the Dope for Bus, I think, quite easily. And that's the sort of stuff we've talked about this before, and I think there's definitely room for that kind of thing. So yeah, I think you're right there, Ben.
The CV gate buses on most bus boards, I know companies like Moleco and 4MS, they're passing through MIDI clock or analog clock and reset. So you hit start on one sequence and your whole row kind of fires up. That can have some issues when you have another module that wants to use those 2 pins on the board for maybe pitch and gate information. So it's a little bit tricky because there's only 2 gates available above the actual power ones, 2 pins, sorry. But I think the 2 modules that definitely got mentioned to me the most were the 2 Instruo, the Lubar and Arbor. Lubar is the tip. Don't
they look beautiful? I mean, they are absolutely gorgeous. Those.
It goes back to what you were saying, Gaz was saying about Bitwig as well, about having help. They've got these blank panels made up that's effectively got the manual on.
Yeah, great idea.
Oh, cool.
Great idea. Really, really good idea. I think Ben's just having a glitchy moment there, so sorry about that. Don't know whether we got to his bet. When he comes back, we'll ask him what his hit of the show was.
God,
so I'll come back to you, Jim, because we haven't heard from you for a little while. So what was a product of the show for you?
It's really hard to pick one product, but I want to kind of go with something Dave was talking about, because as a keyboard player, when you have a connection with an instrument and it makes you, you can relate to it and connect with it. I had kind of a surprise. I had seen the C15. That's by
Nonlinear Labs.
Nonlinear Labs. I saw it at NAMM and I just kind of walked right by it because, well, yeah, look at it, and it's a somewhat maybe uninspiring interface. Looking at it.
Carry on.
Then I started to say, I just sat down and started playing the thing, and it's extremely expressive, and you feel it feels like an instrument. It doesn't feel like I'm pressing keys. It feels like I'm playing an instrument, almost like you'd play a piano or some kind of acoustic instrument.
Which is what they're going for, isn't it?
Yeah, and I know it's gotten some flack I guess because it doesn't have MIDI, and I don't know all the technicalities, but in understanding kind of their thought behind that is, well, MIDI is such a low resolution compared to what we are going for, and I think it really comes across when you hit those keys, and there's much more ability to sort of hit those. It behaves much more like maybe an acoustic instrument would, rather than a digital instrument that's got to send values that are going to, MIDI compliant values or whatever. And it's got the 2 ribbon controllers that run the length of the instrument. It's made of wood. The keys just feel great. And, it's expensive.
Yeah, you're telling me it's like $5,000 or something. I mean, it really is cheap. Expensive.
And I don't, I'm not sure exactly who the market is, but when I sat down and to play it, I really didn't want to stop playing it. And I was really surprised. They have banks of, I was just going through presets mostly and making a few tweaks. But it just puts you in a mood.
Yeah, it's really. I would agree with that. I haven't played it, but that's what they were going for. Stefan Schmidt, isn't it? It's the guy, one of the founders of Native Instruments. He's sort of like moved off away from software, although inside it is essentially a kind of custom reactor core with something like, it's like 2 oscillators, and it's all the interaction, and he's got some really clever stuff going on that nobody really knows what it is apart from him, but it makes the most incredible sounds. And you're right, the expressivity, and people really bitch about the fact that it's got no MIDI, but it's pointless because it's like 2,000 or 3,000 step resolution per parameter per, it just doesn't, it wouldn't translate to anything that MIDI can offer. So yeah, it'd be a bit pointless. But yeah, okay, that's a good call. So Jim has actually come up with a product of the show. Ben, you were still talking about Instro. Was that your choice, or were you just getting round to the product of the show in your opinion, or products?
Yeah, I was talking myself awake with this booth flu. No, I think the 2 Instro modules really stood out. I've known and worked with Jason for quite some time now. I've had things in the past with Jason at Instro where I kind of give him a bit of feedback, or this doesn't quite look right on a scope, or something sounds off, and he's doing a lot by ear and making sort of things feel and sound right and perform like instruments. And I think that goes a long way, because modular's kind of everything to everyone. It could be an effects box, it could be a utility signal distribution box, it could be a synth, a drum machine, and it can be a toolbox or an instrument, I think. And it's beautiful when it's an instrument. It can be a great problem solver when it's not. But I like when people really do push these things as instruments for expression. One of the real standout products, and I think the best, or one of the best demos we had, was the Soma Pulsar 23.
Yay, of course.
I know that we mentioned this at the start of the show. It's been talked about a few weeks ago, but we kind of just wanted to throw the camera down and applaud. Vlad gave us like a great little personal concert.
Yeah.
I could barely hear him. He said, "I'm losing my voice. Can I take the mic?" And he kind of stood and, sat playing the thing. And I thought, God, what's going on? This might be a bad demo because I can't interact and ask questions. But once he just started playing, really amazing instrument. Everything from basic analog drums to all this weird Lombards, kind of banana noise box type stuff. Really lovely piece of kit.
I think, yeah, for me that was my star of the show, and the reason the reason it was is because, as I was a big fan of the Lyra 8, but it's as an instrument, it's an instrument that's self-contained. It says stuff like gate input or what, but you just forget it. It's just any interfacing you have with it is totally irrelevant. It won't do anything on any sort of scaling or time frame that is of any use to anybody. Whereas this is got the complete bonkers of Soma stuff with MIDI input and clock input, so you can. He says, yes, you can use it for pop production. It's only a 4-voice synth. It weighs 5 kilograms. This thing, and it's $1,500, and nobody seemed to care. It's just like, yeah, okay, it's ridiculously expensive. It's sort of ludicrous, but the sound and the context behind it, and it's just, yeah, it sounds brilliant, and it's totally mad. So that would be my choice as well, Ben. I would tend to agree with you there.
Yeah. Well, it's 110 patch points, 53 knobs. Not that that's ever a measure of quality or what people are going to express themselves the most on. But it's the flexibility of it. It really did seem to, you want some kind of hip-hop-ish live loop stuff, you want to just MIDI up some kind of techno. Having all the effects on board, like the Soma, the Lyra 8, sorry, the whole thing becomes the instrument. It isn't synth with some effects on or drums with some delay after. It felt like one unified box. That was nice to see.
And the fact that you can touch the patch points and use your body to kind of make the connection. You don't, if you run out of cables, you just got to go grab them, and that'll work as well. I mean, it's just mental. Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. Okay, Gaz, I'm coming over to you now. I mean, I know that's going to be tough, but so something that really kind of. I mean, it may be, you know, maybe you agree, or maybe it's something new.
Well, I think the Pittsburgh Modular Voltage Research Laboratory.
Oh yeah, that sounded great.
Unbelievably good. I mean, that just really just I don't know, it blew my socks clean off. That was something else. I just thought it was just so, the gut punch off it was amazing. It had
he's figured out a way to fold square and sawtooth waves so they still remain square and sawtoothy, but the bottom end, the girth, as we like to say.
Oh, I thought it was amazing. Really, oh God, it's so hard to say, because I mean, I'm going to say something controversial here, but I love the digitone keys from Electron. I just love it. I love the format of it, and that's getting such a lot of ridicule at the moment. And I thought it was. I think you have to sit and play with that and it kind of all makes sense, you know, because
I would agree.
Is quite cute.
It makes sense as a thing, doesn't it, when you play
it?
But when you look at it, you just think, what the hell have you done?
Yeah, because like the pitch and mod wheels are on the other side of the, but it's like you've got the entirety of a Digiton, and then there's a keyboard sticking out one side, and the pitch and mod wheels are on the other side, but you know, it all feels ergonomic and really great. And that sort of shallow depth, I think, makes great sense for lots of studio
Sounded
setups.
Good, though, didn't it? Didn't it sound good?
Oh, sound is so good. And just very inspiring. And just having those real-time controls at the top there. And, I loved it. I really loved that. I didn't know what to expect. When I saw it, because we went to the Electron Studios launch on the Wednesday. That was the day before Super Booth began, and that's a beautiful space they've got there. And one of the things that's really good about this Electron Studio space, I mean, I think anyone who's going to Berlin should check out what's going to be going on there, because there's going to be all sorts of like workshops and performances that happen there. But it's like a showroom, but
they don't sell
anything. They don't sell anything. No.
They're just selling the dream, aren't they, Gaz? They're selling the dream.
Yeah. But the cool thing as well is there's other brands stuff dotted around amongst the Electron stuff as well. It's sort of I thought it's a really cool idea. So anyone going to Berlin, make sure you head there for sure.
So are you nominating the Digitone keys then?
Oh gosh, well it's either that or the Pittsburgh Modular, but I love the Knicks too as well from Dreadbox.
Yeah, we forget that.
Totally did it for me as well. That is so awesome. God, and there's a whole host of other things. I can't decide.
It's difficult, isn't it? There's something I was looking for actually here, because I know that Jim, you were quite excited by this, but I'm just looking for the video now. Where was it? Was it? This.
Yeah, sorry.
This is just the Minilog XD in desktop. That is, I know Jim, you were kind of keen on that, because you were thinking, I don't want another set of mini keys, but I like the sound of it, because I reviewed this just beforehand and I thought it sounded good.
I've liked the XD ever since I got to play it. I think at NAMM might have been the first time, but yeah, I don't need another. I have enough keys. I don't want another Minilog keyboard. I don't particularly like the Minilog key bed. I have a Minilog. I like the sound, but I don't really like playing it that much. But you know, I can put this thing and it takes up a little bit of room, and I get the sounds. I get the digital oscillator. I like what Korg has done with it, and I like that it sounds like they listened. I think there were a lot of people saying, okay, I don't really need another keyboard, especially that keyboard, but I like this synthesizer, and so I think that was a smart idea.
And it's got polychain as well.
Yeah,
that's the other
exciting.
Thing. Polychain, so you could hook up. So Dave, I was thinking of you when I saw this, because I thought you could actually put a rack of them up together. So you can have like an XD12, so 12 voice on 3 layers with the little keyboard. So it's kind of a really poor man's version of the 8 voice that you've got. But with effects and the pitch being in tune. No Tolex though.
That's funny.
So did I ask you for a product of the show? I can't remember if I did, or whether there was something that.
I mean, it's definitely for me.
Of course, the summit.
That experience for me. So they flew us out with. I was sat next to Chris Huggett on the plane there and on the plane back. So I bored him to death. We were staying at the same hotel, so I bored him to death even more. And yeah, it was just nice, you know, having known how much work that everybody's put into it, to see it be so well received. And yeah, other than that, yeah, people. I have to say, actually, quite a really big thanks. It must, on a very minuscule level compared to yourself, it's quite bizarre to be walking through a show all these years later and people stopping me every kind of 10 yards going, "Hey, from the Sonic Talk podcast." And they didn't want to punch me, which is kind of strange.
Yeah. When you say yeah, nice.
Yeah, the gang we were hanging out with, you know, Alex, CR78, Chris and Bridget. I mean, just so many. So yeah, it was
jolly good fun.
It was a moment for me, and for the first time, you know, they put my patches on the A patch, so technically I was kind of an A-lister, and
you got the A side.
I felt like it, yeah.
Brilliant. It's good fun. Good fun. There's so much there. I wanted to actually, I'm going to do another plug because we should also, well, actually, let's do the competition because we've obviously got our friends at Isotope as well. So do that and then we'll come back. I know we're nearly getting to the end, but that's just the way it goes. So yes, this is the Isotope guys. So I'll let you play this.
Standard and leader in audio repair for music and post-production. And with RX-7, we've introduced groundbreaking new ways to quickly and easily fix and manipulate audio. Take the game-changing Repair Assistant, an intelligent helper that can detect noise, clipping, clicks, hum, and more. Also new in RX-7 is Music Rebalance, a powerful source separation tool. Drums too loud? Vocals not loud enough? Let's fix that. You can also create instrumental versions of songs by removing the vocal elements. You can now alter the pitch without affecting the timing of your audio, and conversely, alter the time without affecting the pitch with the new variable time and variable pitch modules. Using the new dialogue contour, you can improve the performance of a line or even create a new performance by altering the pitch contour of the dialogue, therefore adjusting the intonation of the speaker, and introducing Dialogue Dereverb, a module powered by machine learning to reduce the presence of reverberations around dialogue. RX-7, a new frontier in audio repair.
And of course, you can download that. Go to isotope.com and search out RX-7. You can get a 10-day copy of that. And it's the sort of tool that if you work in any form, digital audio or video as well, I mean, there's something in there that you're going to find really, really useful and will save your bacon. Before we get, the competition, we got a winner from last week, but we'll do the competition now. We're looking for that word doesn't look so good when you write it down. Sonic Assistance and RX-7. So the hashtag Sonic Assistance, one word, and this hashtag RX7 to @Sonicstate and @Isotope Inc. If you put that in a tweet, then you will be entered into the competition, and that means that you get the chance to win a copy of RX-7 next week. So do check that out at the hashtag Sonic Assistance and the hashtag RX-7 to @Sonicstate and @Isotope Inc. And of course, we have a winner from last week, and the winner is a chap called Jim Child, whose Twitter handle is @ShepherdJim, and they tweeted the last competition because we didn't have a show last week, so week before. So if you get in touch, Jim Child, Shepherd Jim, you're going to get a copy of RX-7. And while I've got your attention, we're putting on a show 26th of May in Bath. We've got Apparat, which I've spelt wrong. I'm just going to put another P in there because that would mean and Apparat and Dataline, which is of course Cenk, both playing in Bath at Comedia as part of the Bath Festival. I'm collaborated with Will Gregory from Golf Rap on that to put together this little bill. So if you want to check the tickets, I've got a special URL there, which is bit.ly/Apparat 2Ps-Bath. If you go there, it'll take you to where you can buy tickets for that. That's on Sunday the 26th of May in Comedia in Bath. I said I'd plug it. I know it's a very niche because most of our listeners are nowhere near Bath or nowhere near England or the UK, but there, I'll put it in anyway. So I'm just trying to think if there's any other stuff we could cook, because I mean this has been very free.
Loads.
Yeah, Gaz. Yeah, I know you've got a load of stuff though. So let's just have it. If people have got time for a little bit more.
Right. Oh gosh. Right. New stuff. Oh God, I'm on the spot now.
Well, you know.
I said it. God, I mean, it was just so much. The Bifaco had fantastic MIDI module. I thought was really good. Just for devices for sort of bringing the worlds together. I mean, I don't do modular, but I do like desktop units. So very much so MIDI. I'm a MIDI guy. So I'm always looking for MIDI related products. So it's really cool to see something that is fully embracing of MIDI and the Eurorack. This thing has got tons and tons of interesting potential. Also, Vermona's Melodicer I thought looked really cool. It's a little sequencer, again in a module. It's just a prototype at the moment, but we did a little video on that. We prefaced that little Vermona feature a tiny little history, which is quite nice. And
Thomas he's really interesting, because particularly being in the former GDR, because they were the other side of the Iron Curtain, weren't they? Is this the thing you were talking about? Oh yeah, the Melodicer 2009 Super Booth prototype. That's particularly
that's the one. Yeah, that's got some. That's really interesting. Got some really cool features. God,
did you see the Phoenix, guys?
No.
Sorry, I was going to say the Phoenix 4, officially Phoenix 4 Dutch synth.
Oh, what the one with the multiple touch and that kind of? Did they do that, or was it?
They did two. So the original, is it Synovaton? I think I might butchered
Syntonova. Oh, yeah, no, you're right. Synnova.
Yeah, completely butchered the name. They're working with This Is Not Rocket Science, who have some great Eurorack modules, and then they're helping bring the digital side to the new Pan synth as well. That was the booth with all the helmets with like arms hanging off.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't check that. I interviewed him a couple of years ago. The nice tall Dutch chap. I've forgotten his name now, but he came over and said hello. He was got that amazing synth, because they were Synton, weren't they? So originally, so the Syntonovo's new Synton. Yeah. So there you go. There's a tip for you. Are you managing to dredge anything more out there, Gaz, or should we
I'm just trying to look through the videos that I made. God, there was so much. I quite like that Ploytech speech synthesizer. I thought it was really fun. It was, I mean, it's a fairly niche thing, but I think it's the chip that was in the Speak and Spell.
Okay.
You could you could type in. You plug in a QWERTY keyboard, type in, and then play it from a keyboard. Speech synthesizer. I thought that was really fun. Again, very niche. Oh gosh, can you come back to me while I just do a little more research?
I don't know whether or not there's anything else to add, because I mean, Dave, you were the other highlights. I mean, did you actually get to play anything other than the summit? Did you play anything? Did you manage to kind of get a moment with some headphones on anywhere?
Not really. I wanted to go on the C15 thing. I really wanted to try that, but I think people kept keeping me away from it just in case. I was like, I have to have this. And everybody I spoke to about that, because I was going, where is it? And everybody I spoke to just went, yeah, but it's got no MIDI. I was just like, I don't care. I just want to try it. Because I'd heard the stuff at Mesa a couple of years ago, and thought, like Jim, it sounds like you could develop a relationship with this instrument. But no, not really.
Did you see this? Did you see the Ballora and the River? Did you see that?
Where was that? I saw the Buckler stuff, and obviously Mark wasn't there. That was a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, it was a bit disappointing, but I think they had some local help, and they probably just met. This was this has been around for a while. This is a French 8-voice polysynth with the voice structure based on the Moog Source. So it's got, I guess it's 8 voices. It's 8-part multi-timbral. It's got full lot of. You could set it up in those ways. It's got an analog tri-chorus in it as well. It wasn't particularly well presented in terms of unique sounds. It was a bit cheesy for my taste, but I mean it was just the way that some of the patches are in there. But it weighs 25 kilograms and it's $5,000. So it's the sort of piece that, Dave, I'd imagine you'd be gravitating towards, and I'm surprised you didn't see it.
It was right next to the C15. That's why
it was next to the C15. Yeah, you were kept away.
That's why, man.
They just kept you away from that room completely.
Where was that near? Did I go anywhere near that? Because I'm still convinced there are places I didn't go.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, that was the room with the Schmitz and a lot of expensive stuff in there.
I was kept away from that room.
I know, Nick.
Okay, you got something.
The game changer, the motor synth.
Yes, I'm looking for that.
That thing. I mean, did have a very distinctive sound.
I got it. It's bonkers, and they've got that plasma distortion, which is also insane.
Right. Yeah.
Let me see if I can find this.
So they've got these 8 spinning motors.
Let me put this on. Yeah.
Okay.
Infrared light synthesizer with depending on how much I love it, and then also I can do a polyphonic mode. So now I have a chord. Wow, so that's the basic idea. So let me quickly show you the idea. 2 voices per key. Each voice has a selectable wave shape, amount of mix, scale, separate envelope, separate portamento, separate tone control. And here's one note. Each time I do that, the motor starts spinning twice as fast.
It's a bonkers idea. So it's basically an optical envelope. There's an optical oscillator, which is each of those they're like a drone motor, so they're very accurate. They're bushless digital motors, so there's no wear and tear. There's just nothing that's going to wear out on them. So they've got thousands of hours, hundreds of thousands of hours, and then on the bottom they've got an infrared sensor, and then 3 wave shapes. So the infrared beam bounces off whatever the wheel is doing, and the speed that the wheel goes gives you the pitch, and it's totally mad. So there's a bit of time, but they're very fast because drone motors have to adjust incredibly quickly. So the digital motors he did a demo for me, and it got from sort of quite beautiful stuff to absolute hellish noise, full on kind of craziness. And they came up to me afterwards and said, what do you think? Do you think that the people that we could this is going to be okay? And I said, well, look, there's nothing like it. I mean, absolutely nothing like it. And you were saying,
yeah. Well, also there is a lot of interesting ideas in the controls as well. So I think it's definitely worth a look at. I think it's going on Indiegogo, isn't it? So
is it? I don't know. It's going to be expensive. It's going to be like a couple of grand, isn't it? But
no, I don't think it's going to be that much. What, about 1,200 maybe, was it?
Okay.
I might be wrong on that. Yeah, maybe 1,400, somewhere around that. So yeah, so it's not cheap for sure. But I think the Vulcan new bass is worth mentioning.
That's all right. I mean, yes, I think this idea of it was because it's got the valve in it. I mean, the demo I heard was just all 303, and it doesn't really float my boat so much. But I'm sure it could do other stuff.
Okay. Yeah, and also, I think that Teenage Engineering little sequencer is actually quite good. I think I think it's around about £160. This is the one that when they announced all of the modular, the new modular range that, at NAMM this year, this was the one that they withdrew, and then they've kind of rethought it, and then this thing here, they were showing it for the first time. Yeah, because it's 4-channel with 4 arpeggiators. I think it's just offers a lot for the money and for the size, and they feel a little bit better than they look.
Well, they're made of plate steel that you bend, don't you? We've got so you bend it into shape and stick them together. I was expecting they might be here actually, because we were told we were going to get some for review, but we haven't got them yet.
Yeah, I think it's easy to overlook that one. I think it's actually really, really good.
Did you see that, Ben?
I was just going to say, I think that's going to do really well. I did jump on that in January and order it. The previous version that was pulled, and all the orders refunded. It brings a little bit of the Surge TKB thing in, the kind of music easel, Bupa touch plate vibe, keyboard sequencer. It's not expensive, whether it's Eurorack or other desktop things. I think that's going to do really well. There's two I'd just really like to throw in there that I think will be really great for the kind of audience and chat room. I'll be really brief. The ALM Pamela's Discotheque, which is a box that takes the Pioneer Ethernet standard for timing, how you hook up all your mixer and two CDJs or whatever platform Pioneer are on, and just clocked everything. And I was like, well, how stable is it? You got a 24 PPQ clock, a 16th note quarter reset, a few different outputs. And Matthew at ALM reached over and kind of just spun the platter back on the CDJ, and the Eurorack just shifted and kind of came back in time perfectly. I was really impressed with that.
That's it. I've got it here. Pamela's Discotheque.
Yeah, tiny little box, nothing too sexy on its own, but keeping everything in sync. I've not seen anyone else do that. And the other one was the Wrong Electronics Soundstage, which takes inputs depending on where they are in the panel and kind of auto pans them. But then it's working in a 3D space, and there's high and low pass filtering. There's 21 analog filters and 6 VCAs, I think. And depending on where you plug everything in, there's kind of an auto filter, auto pan thing going on. So they had 2 bass lines going. He said, let's put this one kind of near the bottom. That's the bass. Let's put this one higher up, swap them round. The panning's all dealt with. And you could CV voltage control the depth of that filtering. So you could kind of push your 3D soundstage and pull it back in. And when you hear it in stereo, I was really impressed, just as a kind of really basic, this is a hi-hat, it should be high-end, it goes up there. This is a bass drum, it should go near the bottom in the middle. Just thinking of that 3D space and depth. And I really like that. That was really impressive.
Oh, that sounds good. I mean, yeah, Pamela's Discotheque. Is that based on the Pamela's Workout? Because there's a module called that, but is that the same people?
Yeah, Pamela's Workout is their little kind of clock, LFO, syncable, master clock, Eurorack module. Pamela's new Discotheque is the Pioneer Ethernet format in one side and jacks on the other.
They really need to talk to Pamela Anderson for some sort of endorsement, I think. Just get a kind of
PCB has her in kind of I won't go into it. There is
Pammy mode. Yeah. Okay.
The Torai Squid, that's worth a mention. Because they've now consolidated the brand names. Now Torais is the company name now, is the brand name now. It was Pioneer. I think the previous ones have been Pioneer DJ, Torais, and then ALS1 or whatever they are. But now the Torais is so the Squid is the first thing that's under the Torais, as a brand name. But that sequencer, I mean, it's reasonably priced and is definitely. It's a very powerful sequencer. It's just a MIDI sequencer, but it can, it's a 16-channel MIDI sequencer. It's got lots of tricks up its sleeve, and it's going to be interesting to see how well received it is. Because I know those other products they've put out haven't really had the continual support, so they're going to have to definitely convince the public that they're going to be dedicated. And I think maybe by having this clear definition in the, Pioneer DJ, Torais being, that's for the DJ stuff, and Torais is for producer.
Right, okay,
is for the music producer. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, but it's good. Worth a look at. If you're in the market for a sequencer.
Yeah, definitely.
I was quite impressed.
A couple of things to come. I did an interview with Richard Devine, which might be quite interesting. I had to chat with him about his live setup and that whole notion of trying to kind of cut down and simplify, maybe using some digital stuff to do that. Also got a Meet the Makers with Dave Rossum, which I was very pleased about. What a lovely guy, and what a guy who's kind of basically invented most things that we now use in our digital lives, or had some say in it. It's astonishing. I mean, he's kind of like
Wow.
Yeah, the stuff that he's done and continues to do is kind of mind-blowing. Really good to have a chat with him. And what else is there? There's more stuff to go. I mean, we'll have a ton more videos to go up, so it'll all be there. Any other final words? Anybody? I mean, well, I should ask you, Dave. You went this year. You thinking you might go next year?
Yeah. In fact, yeah. I had the conversation with Chris about it when we left. It was like, well, maybe we should go. Maybe we should get a booth, because when talking to the Novation guys, they said it's a really good team building exercise as well, and everyone has, works hard and has a bit of fun, and it's just not. I don't know. I got the feeling that it's possibly on the cusp of becoming, a major event and falling into that nonsense.
I don't think I don't think Andreas will let it. I mean, the only thing that I say let it down this year a little bit was the musical programming was a little bit mono focused. I'd love to see like the Battery Opera Orchestra play there. I'd like to see some more melodic stuff. A lot of it was
Deluxe.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Matt Hodson play there, and I've got a piece with him as well. Yeah, I mean, I think they just need a bit more musical diversity and stuff, because it was quite, some of it was just the same and the same and the same again. I don't know how anybody else felt about that, and I'd like to lobby for a bit, but I guess it's budget, because the more people you bring over, I mean, a guy or a gal with a modular system is a lot easier to move and get to play than a band, because it's less people, and the cost, I imagine, comes into it. But I would like to see a bit more musical diversity. I don't know if anybody else feels that way.
I did.
One thing just to shout out is that the Schneider's Laden, they filmed all of the talks. So for us, yourself included, Nick, and most people here, you don't get any chance to see a talk or presentation or demo kind of in the theatre spaces. They're all filmed and are now going up on the Schneider's Laden channel. There's been some great content.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So it's well worth going over and subscribing and following all that side that we all just totally miss.
Yeah, that's a very good point. In fact, that they generally go up over longer periods of time. But I think it's on Vimeo, isn't it? They don't post to YouTube. So.
They've moved now, so they've now got a YouTube channel, not Vimeo, and there's already a good handful of things. Yeah, big move.
Wow. I take it all back, Dave. Next year, it's just going to be like NAMM. Yeah. They've sold out.
Things are going up really quickly. There's 5 plus 10 videos online already.
Wow, that's such a lot.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that was not like NAMM really is Berlin, because, I'm from Southern California, so walking, Anaheim I grew up going to Disneyland, and I know that area, and this was my first time being in Berlin, and it's just a great place for a show. It's so easy to get around. I know as the Sonicstate team, we were able to take some time and, see a little bit of Berlin, and you can hop on a train or tram, and you don't have those kinds of things around NAMM. That just doesn't really exist. It's a whole different atmosphere. And Dave kept saying the people. The show is more than just a bunch of electronic things. It really had a feeling of, about the people. It was really inviting and warm and just a really nice place to be.
Yeah, and the only other thing I'd like to say is they definitely need more variations of brands of Hefeweizen beer, because it was a little bit lacking in the quality department of beers. But I mean, Schneider's and Tim and Adam and Herr Schneider's, Andreas, all of those people. I mean, they've made a really good thing there, and that's something that you can't deny for sure.
Can I just call out one thing? I was really, really thrilled. I'd just come down with a flu on the last day. I had to miss the blooming after show on a Saturday. You all went off and had a great old time, and I had to go back shivering mess to the hotel. But I was just about to leave, and this chap came up to me, and he said he had something. He had a present for me, and he took, and this is what it was. Look at that! How awesome!
Is that the Leaf Audio sound box? Microphonic sound box?
Yeah, microphonic sound. Yeah, that's got to be the top swag, hasn't it? Look how amazing! Yeah, so it's got 2 preamps. There's 2 contact mics inside here, and thoughtfully they also give me a violin.
Wow. Jesus.
So I was absolutely so. Thank you very much, Leaf Audio. That's that really, you know. So I was sat shivering, waiting for the tram, feeling absolutely awful. But I had this with me, and it was. It kind of made me feel a little bit
Make sure you
better.
don't fall forward on that. They look like they were just about eyeballs apart, those big spikes. Give yourself a lobotomy, yeah. Yeah, no, it was good. It was good, and I'm looking forward to next year. And, you know, I think more shows should have more music, because I think that's a really, you know, we should. I mean, NAMM, you know, and it shouldn't just be endorsee stuff. It should be interesting, and what also happens is it breaks it up. I mean, the fact that at Superbooth they've got announced, I say we were lucky with the weather. It did rain a bit, and I know Matt got moved inside, which meant a few people missed it. But most of the time the weather was okay, and that was, you know, so but in California it's usually always okay, apart from when it really rains.
Yeah,
right,
like
Jim?
a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I take it all back. It's not all like that, but yeah. Okay, well, it feels like we're kind of, we should probably, this has been a long show, because there's a lot of stuff to get through. I mean, there really is. But Superbooth, generally, you could see all our stuff. It's still going up. There's 70 plus videos up there now. There'll be a whole bunch more stuff tomorrow. I want to say thanks to our team, obviously Jim for helping out a lot. We've got Ed and Rob and Andy, who's on holiday at the moment, and Jim, Rob, and Andy. So that was us four.
Me.
Gaz. And Gaz, yeah, of course. How could I forget? Jesus Christ. Yeah. So everybody for kind of helping make it happen and all of that, and you know, everybody works very hard to bring you the stuff, but it's fun as well. It's not like a chore. Although I think Ed needs a little bit of de-immersive therapy after so many modules, as I'm sure you do, Ben. I'm sure, you know, while it's great, sometimes you can have too much of a thing, can't you?
Yeah, too much of a good thing exists. But I was just going to butt in and say, and thanks to you for wrangling it all, Nick. You know, your support, not just of your own team and the content, the whole thing is massive and shouldn't be underestimated.
Oh, thanks, mate.
So thanks to you as well. Nick's one of those, just for people watching, I can email or ring Nick and go, how'd you do this? I've no idea. And, you know, to give people the time of day when you're so incredibly busy. Unfortunately, doing what we do, we don't get to see people as much as we'd have liked. I would like to take a year off. But just bumping into everyone, it's totally, as Dave said, it's about the people. And it's great.
Well, the trick is to have more people working with you so that you spend slightly less time. I didn't even fill up 2 SD cards, but there's lots of stuff to do. You know, there's, as you know, it's just as much work when you're running things as when you're doing them. Right.
But had that comedy moment. Just to share that final thing on the Saturday. Once, so me and Andy were going around as a little team, and we just decided that we'd finished. That was it, and that we weren't going to do any more. I was with Piotr from Polyend at the time, and I said, right, this is what I'm going to do. And all my hair was out as normal. I go, right, what's this? I'm going to tie my hair back, and no one, because I mean, like was happening to Dave as well. I mean, thank you everyone for coming up. So many people came up to say hello and to thank us for. So I tie my hair back, going like, now look at this. No one is gonna recognise me. And at that precise moment, a blind man came up with a white cane. I said, hello, guys. Just at that exact moment. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. So, yeah.
And you met Matt Johnson
as great.
well.
Yeah, well, I met Matt Johnson. Yeah, we both did. You met him. I met him. I met him initially because back years ago I did a remix of Armageddon Days or Armageddon Times, Armageddon Days. A long time, and he rang me up on a Saturday morning, and I was working late nights. I was doing sound in clubs and stuff, and he woke me up on Saturday morning and said, yeah, I'd really like you to. What I really like is the bass drum sound on Tom's Diner. If you could use something along those lines, that would be great. And I was just like, yeah, great, lovely to talk to you. And you know, Matt Johnson back then was really massive, and I loved his stuff. But I was completely. And then when I was at the show, I think it's Steve D'Agostino, who's a Berlin resident, said, "Do you want to meet Matt?" And I said, "You know what, I do, because I've actually met him and worked with him, but he doesn't probably remember." And you're right, he didn't remember at all. But he knew who I was because he's watched a couple of videos because he's still very interested in synthesizers and whatnot. And his parting words were, "Oh yeah, you're right. You were really hungover. I remember now." I'm sure he was just pulling my leg because I don't remember being particularly hungover. But yeah, that was good. Yeah, so jolly good fun. I know you got the Jean-Michel Jarre moment, which was awesome. And actually, that was another story because you met Jean-Michel Jarre, and then when I went to do Ballore on the River, I said, you know, because they're French, I said, "Oh, has Jean-Michel Jarre seen this? I mean, has he got one?" And they went, "Oh, no." And I was like, "Oh dear, I've sort of touched a nerve." But then they pulled out a picture of Vangelis playing it, and I was going, "Ooh!" In the celebrity kind of synth-off stakes, who would win? Is it Vangelis or Jean-Michel Jarre? It's kind of a bit of a tough one.
Jean-Michel Jarre.
Yeah, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah,
everyone had in the 70s, didn't it? Everyone had Oxygen and Equinox. I don't know. He was really nice, Jean-Michel. Though he was really friendly and
also
having a great time.
And also, we all see him on video and we think, yeah, there must be so much makeup and stuff because no one of his age can look that good. But he really does, doesn't he? He's like...
He looks great.
He looks great, yeah. It's astonishing, yeah. If I look half as good as that...
Me.
Yeah, well, better than all of us, really, I would imagine. So, well, thank you. And thank you, Jim, for coming along and hanging out here. Jim, if you were watching the show beforehand, the preamble, Jim was playing on the Jupiter 6 with the... in fact, I've got there it is. The Jupiter 6 with I think it's going through the Ventris. There's a few things we were trying there. That was good fun. But I hope you've had fun. And now you got to be on Sonic Talk as well.
Yeah, and I've eaten English food.
Yeah, we had a fried breakfast. And, of course... The thing is now, if you've been telling people you've been away working and they get this will show up and the dates will show and they'll go, wait a minute.
Yeah, I don't tell people I'm working ever.
Okay, fair enough. Anyway, Dave, thank you for joining us as well. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you.
We'll hopefully see you soon, and if before next Super Booth, but certainly at next Super Booth as well. I hope. Right?
Yeah, and thanks everybody who came up and said hello, and it was brilliant to meet all of you and Jim actually. It's really excellent. So, yeah, thanks.
You're more than welcome. And, Ben, lovely to see you. Although, again, we didn't really we did make it to that restaurant. I went to Madame Mom's. Madame Mom's. Yeah, Madame. Yeah, we made it, and we did get food, but you went to a different restaurant, so we blew it.
No, we went there. We must have missed each other.
Okay. Yeah, because the first year we went there every single day. Yeah, it's gone up a bit, hasn't it? It's a lot more pricey than it was when we first went. It was really cheap, but it's jolly good food. Anyway, Ben, thanks ever so much. And, of course, your videos are up on DivKid video channel on YouTube, right?
Yeah, I've a good handful on, but there'll be about 50 over the coming weeks, over the next week or two. So, yeah, plenty from us as well.
Excellent. Well, I do check that out for more modular focus stuff. And, Gaz, lovely to have you. Nice to see you're back on the mend because no one likes a flu.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while, though. You're never going to get that far.
This turned up today.
Oh my goodness!
This has made me happy. Yeah.
Excellent. Is that the music? Is that the new? What's that? The Sting? What is it? Music Maker.
Stingray.
Ooh.
Yeah, the new Stingray. Yeah. So it's pretty awesome.
Excellent. Well, everybody could be happy. We got stuff.
Yeah.
As far as I'm going, my next thing to review is the Radical Technologies Delta SEP, which is Yorkshire.
So cool.
So I'm looking forward to that. I'll be checking that out. So yeah, Jim, thank you very much for joining us, and Dave, and Ben, and Gaz. It's been great. I'm going to do a 4-up, but it won't work because there's 5 of us. So you have to imagine if Jim, actually, you could just come into the shot, then we could all wave together. So thanks everybody. Thanks for watching this time. We'll see you around. See you next time. Bye bye. Yeah, marvellous. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody.
Epic show.
Yeah, that's the longest one we've done for ages, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, I've still got buttons. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, I'm just going to turn that off. Can I do that? Oh, that's the wrong button. Hold on, I've just got to get me buttons right. Done.
Okay, guys, I'm out of here.
Thanks, Dave.
our support guy's wife's just about to go into labour, so
you've got to take over, right?
Look, we thought that she might actually go into labour while we were away, and obviously he's taken 2 weeks off, so Chris has offered to step in, and we were like, I know what's going to happen. We're going to get on the plane, and we're going to get the call. Anyway, it's just happened in the last half hour,
so right.
That's it.
You're in ticket mode. See you later, Dave.
Good luck. Okay, see you.
Excellent. See you later. Lovely to see you.
Yeah, it was really nice to meet you, Dave. It was really, yeah, he's probably gone already.
He's gone, yeah. You can see him, it freezes as he's reaching for the pause button. It always freezes in a kind of a... Excellent, folks.
Yeah, I'm going to go lay down. I feel horrific. Well, cheers for that.
You wore it well, all of you.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do the same.
All right. Well done. I've squeezed the very last essence out of you post Super Booth. So that's it. We got the lot of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to switch the stream.
Hey, safe travels back, Jim.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been a really good time hanging out with you guys.